am related. I don't like standing still, so I'm gonna take this off. Okay, I'm related on the Poindexter side. As you can see, all of the Poindexters named their children after somebody else in their family. So it started with Joseph Poindexter, who was born in New Kent County, and he married in Henrico County. Now, I haven't found the relationship yet between Joseph Poindexter and Jordan Poindexter, but as you can see, 3 of my great-great-grandparents were named Joseph. 2 of them married into the Meekins family. Jordan Poindexter married Nancy, and they had 8 children. Jordan Poindexter, number 3, married Georgiana Meekins, and they had 7 children. And my grandfather, Jordan Poindexter, whose daughter was Helen Poindexter, married Versi Meredith. So I'm double, triple cousin on the Meredith and the Meekins side.
And I'm a Meredith too.
Yeah, and one of Rhonda's aunts married my mother's brother.
Child, I can't keep up.
Yeah,
Thomas Poindexter.
Thomas Poindexter, my mother's brother, married Rhonda's aunt.
Yes.
Ivory
Poindexter.
Hill.
Ivory Hunter Hill Poindexter. Who's buried in Second Liberty Church.
Yeah.
The next time we come down here, we're gonna do a church crawl.
I'm mad because y'all didn't come to New Kent this time.
There's something to do. I'm gonna put.
Okay. Oh, you switching up?
No, I'm just giving you juice.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to make sure you have enough juice.
Okay.
Do you have an extension?
Before my presentation is
Another
on the
extension
schools
cord,
that
so
was in New
my
Kent
laptop
County
don't die.
from
No, I don't.
1866 to 1970. But I'm gonna start with some famous people in our family that I know y'all didn't know about. Here we have First Sergeant Major Daniel Meekins, who was with the United States Colored Troops. He was born in New Kent County, and he ended up living in Portsmouth, Virginia, where he died, but he's buried in Hampton National Cemetery in Hampton, Virginia. His parents were Bet and Susan Meekins, and he was separated from them at birth. And once he joined the United States Colored Troops, he never saw them again.
Where you wanna go?
And if you were African American for the United States Colored Troops and you made it to First Sergeant, that's as high as you could go in the military. Okay, the next person we're going to talk about is Nelson Meredith, who was also born in New Kent County. And he was born at White House Landing. This is very important. White House Landing in New Kent County. Now, what's so important about Nelson Meredith is that George Washington Parke Custis, who was raised by George and Martha Washington after his parents died, freed him in his will in 1857. I put all the Merediths. George Washington Parke Custis had 3 plantations, Romacoke and King William, White House in New Kent, and he also had Arlington Plantation, which is now the current location of the Arlington National Cemetery. But these were the Merediths that I found that were freed in his will. And Nelson and Henry, we're going to assume that they were brothers because Henry named one of his children Nelson after his brother. And he's the Nelson Meredith that was in the United States Colored Troops. We also have Samuel Williams from New Kent County, who was in the United States Colored Troops, and he's buried in Yorktown National Cemetery. If you ever go to Yorktown or to Hampton National Cemetery, they have a section that's just for United States Colored Troops. There's Joseph Williams, who was born in New Kent County, and he was in the United States Colored Troops, also in the 41st United States Colored Troops. Now, funny that Renata, where is she? Okay. She should talk about Dudley Williams. And guess who I have up here? Dudley Williams. They worked for the Confederacy, but they also received a pension. They weren't soldiers, like she said. They worked for the Confederacy. A lot of people worked on the fortifications in Petersburg. And Dudley, Samuel, and Joseph worked for the Confederacy. And Dudley did, received a pension for his services, not as a Confederate soldier, but as an employee. Civil War Navy, we have James Williams. And body service for the Confederacy, we have Lewis Carter, Dick Brown, and Reuben Davis, all from New Kent County. And Revolutionary War, there's a lot of Meekins and a lot of Meekins, like Renata said. And we have Isaac Meekins and Jeremiah Meekins, who were in the Revolutionary War, born in New Kent County. Okay, now we're going to get to these schools we talked about. The schools we're going to talk about today are the Freedmen's Bureaus, the colored schools, Rosenwald schools, training schools, and we're going to talk about George W. Watkins. And this presentation started out with New Kent County, but I know there's some Meekins here from York County and James City County, so I have included a few of those schools. Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands. Well, one of the Freedmen Bureau's biggest accomplishments was education. And as you can see from this class, the teacher is white, but look at the students. Some of the students are the older people, some of the parents of the children that are sitting here, because they wanted to learn how to read and write also. It was established by Congress to benefit the freedmen, former slaves, and poor whites in the South. Now, the Freedmen Bureau was only for the Confederate states, not for all of the United States, only for the Confederate states, and most of them were in the South. And listed are the 13 states, and when I first started doing research years ago, they have Texas up here. And Texas kind of sort of surprised me as a Confederate state, because every time I think about Texas, I think about the Alamo, and I think about the Spanish people. But Texas was also a Confederate state. The Freedmen's Bureau was divided into districts. And in New Kent County, we're in Virginia, New Kent, Charleston, and James City County was located in District 5. Now, it started out that the government was going to pay for the Freedmen's Bureau, but because they were so busy trying to get the United States back together, get the Confederate States back to be in the United States, they spent all their money trying to get the United States back together, so they ended up not paying. So some of the benevolent societies ended up paying for the Freedmen's Bureau. And when I said paying, they paid for the teachers. Some of the people in the neighborhood either let the Freedmen's Bureau use their buildings as a school, or they rented the building to the Freedmen's Bureau. In 1867, there were 192 Freedmen's Bureau schools in Virginia that taught 8,879 students, and they had 220 teachers. Now, even though the Freedmen Bureau was for the poor whites and the free blacks, most of the Freedmen Bureau teachers were white teachers. This is a paid report from the New York branch of the American Freedmen Union Commission. As you can see, they have, on the second row, they have Tunstall with the teacher's name, G.M. Jennings, and it also tells you how much he was paid to teach. They were paid $10 a month. And then you see where he resigned. Well, those teachers were like any other teachers. They would leave to go from one school to another, depends on who paid the most money. And this one is from the American Missionary Association. And put my glasses on so I can see here. And this also told how much the teachers were paid, the location they were in. Like close to the bottom, they have Gloucester County, James City County, and Matthews County, and told how much they were paid. And also we have another one, and this includes Williamsburg, and the teacher was H.N. Dennis. Now, Virginia had schools before 1870, but most of the schools were for the rich white folks because the poor white folks couldn't afford to go, and definitely the black folks could not. And at the bottom, you see New Kent County. The names at the bottom, they were school commissioners for New Kent, but they were also slave owners. Now these are the 10 Freedmen Bureau schools that we had in New Kent County. We have one at Crump's Crossroads, that's up in Quentin past Watkins School. One in Eltham. The ones with the asterisk beside, we know about the location that the school was, but the other ones, we just know that they were in New Kent. Most counties have a school called Lincoln, and Lincoln was just an honor to associate themselves with Abraham Lincoln, who signed the act to have the Freedmen Bureau. And just like Renata has said, when Lincoln was assassinated and Andrew Johnson came along, he tried his best to get rid of the Freedmen Bureau completely, but Congress told him no, he couldn't do that. So these are, we have 10 Freedmen Bureau schools in New Kent County. And the oldest Bureau school that we could find was Olivet Church, which is next to Olivet Church Road, and also one in Tunstall. And this is one of the school reports for Sumner Freedmen Bureau School, and it's located in the St. Peter's area. And the only reason I know that this school is in the St. Peter's area because Park Bailey, the guy in red, owned the building, and he allowed the Freedmen Bureau to use the school. So I looked up his records, and that's where he lived in St. Peter's area. So I knew that was in St. Peter's. And it had 29 students, and the teachers were Annie Alston. Now, they didn't have the same amount of students every time. That's because sometimes the parents came, and sometimes the children came, and sometimes the parents didn't come. So the amount of pupils each month fluctuated. And Annie Alston, she taught at a lot of Freedmen Bureau schools. She taught in West Point, she taught in King William, and she also taught in King and Queen County. And this is a school report for Shiloh. Do I have any York County people in here? Okay, there's one. This Freedom Bureau School is in Shiloh, near the church in York County. And here's one for Fort Magruder. Fort Magruder is right up the street. So this is a Freedom Bureau School for Fort Magruder. And this is one for Slabtown. Slabtown was a community in York County. It had over 500 residents, and they were all black. And they didn't give them their little location or name. They just called them Slabtown because they were all freed African Americans. And this is a school report for the city of Williamsburg. Another Freedom Bureau school. And it had 90 students. Can you imagine 90 students in one building? One small building. And this is for Elam School in Charles City County. In 1870, Virginia decided that they wanted to have their own public free school. So in Virginia, the Freedom Bureau was discontinued. However, even though Virginia decided they wanted a public school, they still required that the blacks have their own school and the whites have their own school. They did not want any integration at all. In Virginia, the enrollment was 2,800 students, 2,950 teachers, 2,800 schools, 2,950 teachers, and 130,000 students. In New Kent, there was 3 white schools, 3 white teachers, 38 white students. Now this is in 1871, but no color schools, no teachers, no students, on record that is. 1874, things changed a little bit. There was 190 colored students, no colored teachers, no colored schools. Now, the thing that got me is you can count how many students you have, but why you can't count a teacher or why you can't add a school? 1877, there were 3 colored schools, 2 colored teachers. They got up a little bit. 3 white schools and 4 white teachers. 1879, there were 8 white schools, 10 white teachers, and 747 white students, but half as many colored schools, teachers, but they had more colored students. And this is a list of the 25 colored schools that were in New Kent County. 25. Every community that New Kent had, there was a school in every community. And why was that? We didn't have a way to get to school, so every community had to have their own school in order for kids to get an education. And those are some other schools in New Kent County. And I'm sure, well, I know some of y'all grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-great-grandparents went to some of these schools in the county. Septiva Crutchfield was a colored school superintendent for James City County and New Kent County. They didn't want to put us ahead, so they had a colored school superintendent, but her boss was a white superintendent named Mr. Clarence Jennings. She was born in Williamsburg. Each school had a school league, and they acted like the trustees do in the church. If the school needed anything, they went to the counter and asked, advised the school, okay, the school need a new roof, school need a new window. Sometimes the county would give them the money will buy the materials, and the trustees of the school would do the repairs. And most schools had anywhere from 10 to 20 school league members, and these members were mostly the parents who owned for the children that went to the school. This is the Bob Color School that was in Burnsville community. And Burnsville is like going through New Kent at the end. If you're going to Williamsburg, it's the last community before you cross the James City County line. And the next school is an Indian school, the only Indian school that was built in New Kent County. And that was located in Lenexa. And these are some of the schools' pictures that are unavailable. Cumberland, there was a Cumberland Color School. For those of you who know where Cumberland is, when you make that left turn off New Kent Road, that school would have sat right there on that corner. There was a school at Tyersville. Providence Forge had a school located by Olivet Presbyterian Church. The church is still there. There was an Oak Rosenwald School that was located in Lenexa. This is a picture of the Cooks Mill School. This was the largest largest color school in New Kent. This one had 5 rooms. And the man in the corner at the top, his name was Jackson Davis. He was working for the Virginia Department of Public Instruction, which is now the Virginia Department of Education. He was an amateur photographer, so his job was to go out and take pictures of the school once a year to see what condition they were in. And not only was he trying to make sure that they was in good condition, but he was trying to make sure that the counties were doing what they were supposed to do for the colored schools in the counties. And he went to every county in Virginia. If you go to his website, Jackson Davis, you can put in the county and all his schools will come up. And he took pictures, thanks goodness for him, because he only took pictures of the color schools. He might have did 1 or 2 white schools, but he took pictures of all of the color schools. He left Virginia in 1932 and took a job in New York State. This is Mount Castle Color School, if you had any relatives in Mount Castle. This is probably the school that they went to. It started about 1893 and operated until 1957 when George Watkins School was opened. And this is Mount Pleasant School. If you know what Mount Pleasant Church is, it's right beside Mount Pleasant Church. New Branch Colored School. New Branch Church was located near Lebanon Baptist Church, and they had a school also. And I don't know whether it was in the church or a building beside the church. Newcastle Color School, it was on the Hopewell New Kent line near Lebanon Church. And if you are in Quinton, if you know where the Hopewell Baptist Church is right on that line. New Elam Baptist Church. New Elam had a color school too, and I don't know whether it was in the church or outside the church. Plum Point Color School, where I'm from. At the time, I didn't know that it was a school because somebody was living in the building and they sold the building. But if I had known, I would have bought the building myself. adult education. It's hard to believe that you have a color school, and by the way, color schools only went to 7th grade. They only went to 7th grade. So in 1935, they had an adult education class, 25 weeks. You know, that's a long time. But it probably was one night a week. And this lady, Vera Williams, she's my aunt, so she took the class in 1935. This is a school that was online, and it said it was in New Kent County. And if you notice on the left side, this school had 8 windows. So it's a 2-room school, and the little man on my left, that's Jackson Davis. He's in most of the pictures. Thank goodness for him, or we wouldn't have these pictures. Rough and Ready Color School. It was located near Good Hope Church, and some people call it Burrell Town, right off of Slatersville Road. It was closed in 1922 because they only had 7 students, and the county wasn't willing to pay for a teacher just for 7 students. Second Liberty Color School, right across the street from Second Liberty Church. They had a school too. Like I said, every community you could think of, every corner in New Kent County had a color school. And this is St. Peter's. This is the worst school that I could find as far as appearance. This was the worst school, but they had a whole lot of students. They did. 56 students in 1927. 56. And it's a 1-room school. And this is Tunstall's Color Schools. For those of you who know where Lebanon Baptist Church is, it's right down the street from Lebanon Baptist Church. They had a storm a few years ago, about 10 years ago, and a tree fell on the school, so it's just in terrible shape right now. But that's the front of the school. And this is a certificate from someone who graduated from Tunstall Elementary School in 1945. Hortense Marie Jones. And this is a teacher's report from Cumberland Color School. And the teacher was Evelyn Thompson. She might be related to some of y'all in here. And a teacher's report talks about the condition of the school, how many students, the teacher's name, how many can read, how many can write, how many do arithmetic, their age. And these are the names of some of the books that were used in the color schools back then.
Divided into 2 big rooms.
Okay, that's a different, the Cumberland School that's on the corner, that was the first Cumberland School. We're gonna talk about the other one coming up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is Warren I Color School. For those of you who go to West Point, and there's a traffic light right there by Angel View Church, that's Warren I area right there. They used to have a church, and they had a school right there in the area. It's called Warren I Industrial Park right now. And these schools that I'm talking about, they are mostly in the rural areas and not in the cities like James City County. Now, James City County had Freedom Bureau schools, they had color schools, but they wouldn't have 25 like New Kent had, because theirs was more I guess, city rather than country. And this is in most counties in the southern states now. Think about it, the southern states, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, states like that would have color schools and Freedmen Bureau schools. Because in the big cities, they couldn't afford to have 10 color schools and 10 white schools, so all their kids went to the same high school. Because I have some friends, and they said, well, when I was in school, we went to school with white kids. I said, yeah, but you in the city, you know, so they wouldn't know the difference. And this is another school that I found in the Library of Virginia. And there's my little man right there, Jackson Davis, he right there. For those of you who are from York County, there's a Rising Sun had a one-room school right beside Rising Sun Baptist Church. And this is an article that I found online, and they talked about a 4-room color school at Rising Sun. So I would assume that the school before that either got tore down and they built another one in another location. And this is another school in James City County. And for those of you who know where Kroger is, Kroger had a school. And for anybody who knew Reverend Milton Christian from Williamsburg, Reverend Christian, Leon Christian, Sally, Barbara, he taught there. He taught at Kroger Color School. And this is another James City County school. They just said James City County, they didn't say what location the school was in. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Rosenwald School. Rosenwald School was developed, I'm going to say developed for now, was developed by a man named Julius Rosenwald. He was a Jewish person, but he felt that everybody needed an education, whether you was black, white, or whatever. But he still believed in segregation, but he believed in education. Now, when you talk about Rosenwald schools, everybody thinks the idea came from Julius Rosenwald, but it did not. The idea came from Booker T. Washington, who was at Tuskegee Institute at the time. So a lot of readings don't give the credit to Booker T. Washington, but the idea came from Booker T. Washington. Now, the picture of the school you see at the top, Rosenwald schools had a floor plan. They had a basic floor plan, and every state, every county used the same floor plan for Rosenwald schools. And Julius Rosenwald wanted to do something really fancy for it to stand out, but Booker T. Washington said, no, we're not going to do that, because if you do something fancy, they either going to tear it down or they're going to burn it down. So make it as plain, because it was for us, so make it as plain as you can, and that's what he did. And the original floor plans for Rosenwald School was developed at Tuskegee Institute. And these are the 5 Rosenwald schools in New Kent County. Virginia had a total of 382 in 86 counties and 4 cities. We still have 126 left in the state of Virginia. Most of them have been remodeled and opened as community centers, and 256 have either been burned down or torn down. The counties that had the most schools was Campbell County, Mecklenburg, and Pittsylvania County, and they had 16 Rosenwald schools. Now, this is a picture of Lenexa Rosenwald School. If anybody in New Kent knows where Old Telegraph Road is, that's where this school was. But the thing to note you see how people want to get on the bandwagon when somebody else is doing something? The cost for the school was $4,800. The Negroes contributed $625. The public gave $3,375 for this one school. Rosenwald only gave $800. He didn't pay for the entire school. He only paid a little portion. But when everybody wants to get on the bandwagon, you mean to tell me that New Kent County couldn't have built a school for us for $3,000? But they had to wait for, excuse the expression, the white man to come along and come up with an idea and everybody want to get on board. Because they could have built a school for $1,000 for us if they wanted to. And this was just for one school. Because Rosenwald, some places, some schools I looked at, he only paid $300 and the school cost $3,000. But why you couldn't do that before Rosenwald came along? But that's my 2 cents worth. But anyway. And this is a picture of the inside of Lenexa School. The teacher was Stanley Brown. When Lenexa closed, he ended up going to George W. Watkins, New Kent Training School as a basketball teacher. Well, a basketball coach at the time. This is Mount Nebo Rosenwald School. It's located about 4 houses down from the Mount Nebo Church. And this is the Oak Rosenwald School. We don't have a picture of it, but it was in existence in 1885. And this is Quentin Rosenwald School. And it's still sitting there today in perfect condition. And it looks just like it looked in 1924.
Where is it?
It's next to the Union Baptist Church on Quaker Road. Is it Quaker Road? South Quaker Road. You know where that Windows is in
Yes.
New Kent?
Yes.
If you turn by the Windows and make that first right, you pass right by it. It's like 2 miles down.
Okay.
And they keep the grass, well, it's right beside the church, so they keep the grass cut, and they've been trying to get money to open it up, but they haven't done it yet. This is a picture of a Rosenwald school in Caroline County. The picture at the bottom is the remodeled Plum Point School. It looks exactly like the same school. Now the counties could use the Rosenwald design for any school they wanted to, but Rosenwald wasn't going to pay for it. But you still could use the design. You already had the floor plans, so just build a school according to the floor plans. So that's what a lot of counties ended up doing. And this is a picture of Chickahominy Color School. And this is another picture of the Chickahominy School.
You want to take a picture?
Oh, okay.
Got it?
Okay. And, okay, we're getting ready to get to Cumberland now. This is a bill for the Cumberland Rosenwald School. The other Cumberland, which was located where the current Cumberland Community Center is now. It was a 2-room school, but this is the company that they used to build the school. The Providence Forge Planning Deal was the name of the company, and this is how much they charged to build this school. And this is what it looked like while they were building it. And when they redid the Cumberland Community Center after the school burned down, They tried to make it as close as possible to look like the original school. And this is another picture after the school was built. Sad to say that between 1967 and 1968, Reverend Calvin Green filed a suit. We're going to talk about him too. Reverend Calvin Green filed a suit against New Kent County because they refused to integrate. So in retaliation, they burned down Cumberland. They set fire to it and they burned it down. And of course, the people who did it were never caught, of course.
So there are people who, I know we have to leave for a bus at 12, and you can carry on.
I'll be finished by then.
Oh, no, I'm saying, but they're gonna have to leave, and the bus is leaving at 12.
Oh, okay, so I'm gonna hurry up.
Okay.
I'm gonna hurry up, sorry, I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, now we're gonna talk about training schools. Training schools were the same as high schools. In New Kent, our training school only went to 11th grade. Now, the difference between training schools and high schools back then was they didn't want us to be equal, so they called our high schools training schools and called their schools high schools. And in New Kent, like I said, it was 11th grade. We only had the basic classes, math, English, arithmetic, the same thing. But we didn't have algebra, we didn't have chemistry, we didn't have shorthand, we didn't have typing because we weren't supposed to be equivalent. So they gave us the basic classes. Okay, this is one of New Kent Training School was made up of multiple buildings. And this is one, and they moved Zion Providence in the spot. And this used to be Quentin Junior High School, which was a white school. In 1930, when the white school opened up New Kent High School, they gave us Quentin Junior High School. And this is a side view of the school, and these are the graduating classes from New Kent High School. And this is the class of 1940. And this is the class of 1948. And this is a diploma for Blaine Wardell Brown, who graduated from New Kent Training School in 1936. This is a list of some of the some of the teachers who taught at New Kent Training School. George W. Watkins was the only principal of Second Liberty Color School, the only principal of New Kent Training School, and the only principal of George W. Watkins School until 1970. And this is a New Kent Training School report in 1936, class recognitions. These are just some of the other training schools. This was Gloucester County. They must have remodeled and opened a bigger one. And this is Middlesex, Old York County Training School. And this is the new York County Training School. And this is my little man here on the left, Jackson Davis. And the people at the bottom are those who are building the new York County Training School. And this says Old York County Training School in 1915. These are students at the James City County Training School, and the principal was Rice, Mr. Rice. And these are some of the class students from Bruton Heights High School.
Yeah. I was the last.
Oh, I thought you told me wait. Okay. Anybody from Bruton Heights? I saw her hand. 2 of them. Okay, good. And this is the boys' agriculture class at Bruton Heights. And now we will go on to George W. Watkins, which was the only high school at New Kent. This is the first graduating class of George W. Watkins School. And this is part of the New Kent Training School, and they built in George W. Watkins right in front of the school. And this is what the school looked like when it was first built. It opened in 1950 with grades 1 through 11. Grade 12 came in 1955. And this is the new elementary building that they added on in 1958. And these were two of the buildings that were still in use when they had Watkins. And this used to be our shop class. And another building. And this is the baseball team in 1965. Because Watkins, in 1970, it became integrated. And the faculty in 1965, these are some of the teachers. And this is some of the schools that were put up in auction when Watkins opened. The colored schools closed, so they auctioned them off. A lot of people bought them and used them to live in. And even though Watkins opened in 1950, it was so many students that Cumberland stayed open because Cumberland ended up being a 4-room school, well, actually a 5-room school. And they had to have students, places for the other students to go. In 1965, Calvin Green filed a lawsuit against New Kent County because they refused to integrate. So in 1968, they won the case. Dr. Green won the case, and all of the schools in the United States had to integrate because of this one case that happened in New Kent County. And that's Dr. Green right there. Anybody got any questions? That's about it. And these are the parents that joined Dr. Green in filing the case.
I just have a 30-second testimony, if it's okay.
You're gonna have to talk.
That's all right. I can talk loud enough. I just want to say, when I was 6 years old starting school in NKC, I attended one of these one-room schools. Walked to school, and I haven't figured out yet. You had maybe 4 rows, 5 rows, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. I don't know how to teach one teacher. I still haven't figured it out. But that is, I was talking to another senior a year ago, and I think he and I are one of the few former students that are still alive. So this brings back a lot of memories here. It was called NKC School. I didn't see it on the screen here, but and obviously it's been torn down a long time ago. So I guess they said I'm pretty old, but I'm still here. I just want to offer that comment.
I'd like to offer a comment too, in reference to students attending class in James City County. My father attended James City County Training School.
Yeah.
And the training school burned down. My mother attended Bruton Heights High School. She graduated in 1946. I graduated in 1965, and that was the year that Williamsburg, James City County consolidated the schools.
Yeah.
And then, my brother was the last graduation class from Bruton Heights, and that was 1966. So I do know that Bruton Heights was, in existence from 1946 through, 1966.
And also, if I could add something, there was a minister doing a lot of years, for 50 years, that ministered at Ebenezer, Chickahominy, and Zion. And he was also my first grade teacher.
That's right, Reverend Moody.
Robert Moody, that's
Julius
right.
H. Moody.
Yes.
And I did a wood carving of him. That's still at CBC World Ministry, which is AKA Chickahominy.
Yeah, okay.
And there's so many Meekins in the cemetery out there.
Yeah.
If someone, if I get a little group that wanna go up there and view the, cemetery or whatever tomorrow,
Yeah,
whatever, I'll be glad to
Yeah.
show them.
okay.
But, as I said, Reverend Moody did everything
Yes,
for
he
well over 50 years at each church. That's right. And he was my first grade teacher at the Masonic Hall, right beside the church, and that Masonic Hall is still there. I'm
What
talking
church?
Chickahominy.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And anyway, the Masonic Hall is still there. It's called, like a teen center right now. It's, you know, been remodeled and things have been done. And across the street is where there's a park now called.
Yeah.
But that park used to be where the old training school was and everything else.
Y'all need to do a marker.
Well, I'm gonna tell you about that now. There's a marker at the corner of Route 60 and Chickahominy Road, which is Route 631. It's a historical marker, say the Chickahominy Baptist Church was used as a hospital during the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
In 1781, I believe,
Okay.
they said Lafayette's troops camped there.
Okay.
So it's actually registered, and
Yeah.
it was that church right on the hill. So proud to be a part of it.
On my way out, I just wanna say, I made a lot of connections during your presentation. We might actually be related. But I'll share it with the young man, he's not in here now, that helped with the tech. I worked in Williamsburg James City County Schools for 6 years, from 87 to 93. And I worked for a program called Bright Beginnings that has a lot, or had a lot of Meekins families enrolled.
It's still in
Still?
existence.
Okay.
They're
So-
still going.
Okay, good. So the Meekinses mostly lived on Chickahominy Road.
That's it.
They lived, some of them lived before the church, but most of them lived after you made that turn at the church and you go to the end of the road.
Yeah.
They didn't have running water. Some of them didn't have electricity. They had cords going from one person's house to the other so they could
Yeah.
run their power. All that's different now. But we did what we called sharing centers every week in Chickahominy Church.
Oh,
So
my
I spent
gracious.
6 years in Chickahominy Church doing parent education and
Thank you so
working with the birth to 5 children, mostly in the Meekins, because we did them all around the county, but that was the one for the Chickahominy area. And I know the sign you're talking about, but you can't pull over and read the sign. I
No.
get so mad when they put markers in a place that you can't
You can't
pull
stop.
over and read them. So
Because
they
from
really-
that corner, if I can interject something,
Yeah.
you have to go 2 miles down Chickahominy Road to be where the church
to
is
be
on the
where the
right.
church
On that
is, right, on the corner.
But further
yeah.
down, near their, they call it the neck, there was like a fork.
Yeah, that
And-
goes, right.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been on all those roads.
And that area further down was called Meekinstown.
Oh.
Yeah.
And right now, we have so many young Meekins and all that their names have been changed and,
Okay.
well, put it this way, we've actually run out of names.
Oh, wow.
And I have so many great nieces, nephews, and everybody else that they couldn't even be here because they have so many kids out here.
Well,
And
I
I'm
understand.
sure that Jimmy knows about it.
But
We
I
have-
tell
we
you,
have
I
a
did-
certain
we did
young
home,
people.
every family that we worked with, we did home visits. So I've been in all their homes
Well,
every
and
week
again-
for 6 years.
And again, I thank you.
I'm in the family, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
I want a T-shirt.
Front desk.
Okay.
Necessary, you can have mine.
So everybody, the band for the wine cruise is here, if you're going to the wine cruise. If you're going on the wine tour, the buses upstairs will be leaving at 12. Thank you so much, cousin.
It's a